there, this is episode 89 of the first 10 minutes. I'm Tony Parmenter.
I'm Steve Halliwell.
And I'm Aaron Williams.
And this is a video games podcast where we play the first 10 minutes of a video game. Then we sit down here to discuss how well that game communicates itself to the player, both in terms of what the game is about and how to play the game. And in response to our latest listener poll, which you can find at the first 10 minutes on Twitter, we passed a special milestone of reaching 200 followers, which means that we are playing the top 2 voted games and talking. Sorry, I almost said reviewing. I didn't say reviewing.
You did.
Reviewing, and discussing both of those games this week. The first of which is Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator. Steve, you played Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator. Tell us all about it.
I did, and as I understand it, both of you have as well. So we'll bob and weave.
But yours is the canonical,
the definitive edition. Yeah. All right.
The daddiest of the Dream Daddies.
The most daddy. Yeah. Yes. All right. So, Dream Daddy: A Dad Dating Simulator is a visual novel released on July 20th of 2017 for PC and Mac. The game is published and developed by Game Grumps and is written by Vernon Shaw and Leighton Gray. Leighton? I'm not sure. I apologize. The Steam description says that Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, is a game where you play as a dad, and your goal is to meet and romance other hot dads. Are you ready? I'm ready. I'm dad. Nice. The tags are dating sim, memes, romance, simulation, indie, sexual content, visual novel, casual, character customization, funny, cute, story-rich, single-player, choices matter, comedy, great soundtrack, not safe for work, family...
Yes.
You're ruining it. Not safe for work, family-friendly, nudity, mature.
It's all about it's a work-life balance. It's all about work-life balance. That's what it is.
Yeah.
This is the most wholesome sexual content you have ever experienced.
Yeah. It's fun for the whole family. Just don't play it at work.
Yeah.
Noticeably absent. Oh no, I'm surprised it's not higher up. Is the great soundtrack makes a triumphant return.
It does. There were a few in there that I don't believe we've had before.
There's a bunch. There's a bunch I don't even think I knew existed.
Like memes.
Yeah.
I mean, of course that exists, but yeah, I don't think we've run into it before.
Yeah.
I reckon if we had been doing Steam tags when we covered not GTA 5, there's a good chance a lot of these would have come up.
Yeah, maybe. It's a good point.
Steve, what does your cursory Googling indicate? Just because you're playing this week doesn't mean you get to skimp on that one.
My cursory Googling indicates that Game Grumps have some sort of YouTube channel.
Whatever that is.
They appear to release videos of them playing games. I don't know.
They would do such a thing.
And being slightly perturbed about it.
Yeah. And that they have not published nor released a video game before this one. That's my Googling discovered. Okay, so this game is straight up interactive fiction. It looks and plays like a visual novel. In fact, visual novel was one of the tags that Steam had.
Like Winter in February.
Yeah. It is very, very well presented, though. It is very sharp. Juicy is not necessarily the right word, but it's very, very playful, and very many things are animated. So almost everything that can have a background fill has a scrolling animated texture as a background fill, just slowly moving through the scene.
Yep.
So it kind of looks like every UI layout you see, or every sort of window that pops up with text in it or a portrait in it, the background of that will have a repeating pattern that's just scrolling in it very slowly, very calmly.
Yep.
Which makes it look like there's a tremendous amount of care being put into everything that's here. One of the most striking things, I think, from when the game loads up, other than this is unusual, a dad dating simulator, is the color palette. So the color palette, I can't find a better way of describing it other than Barbie Dreamhouse.
So
Can I counter?
Please do.
Can I counter?
I've got a counter as well.
It's very, very Max Headroomy,
Okay.
or very Peter Gabriel Sledgehammery.
Right.
Okay.
I was going to say, if you bought a pair of board shorts in the early 90s, you've got it.
Fair enough.
All good answers.
Yeah. Okay, so I loaded up. During its loading screen, I get greeted with a number of very well drawn sort of mixed. They're kind of an American manga style character art of dad portraits of varying ages, weights, ethnicities, and coolness. There's some funky dads and
very
some,
well drawn men.
Yes, some very funky and some
incredibly well drawn men.
Very daddy.
Now, I'm going to have to make a confession here, not to make it all about me.
Yeah,
but I'm very pleased that I'm not the one talking about this, because the rest of the 10 minutes would be in this dad customizer. Because it totally was.
Look forward to the next 5 minutes.
I spent a long time
of this 10 minutes in the customizer. So
I spent a long time making my daddy.
Yeah. So you start the game, and you get your text box in the bottom third that fills in, and you get your of people talking and telling you what's happening. And your character is asleep, and your daughter Amanda is trying to wake you up. And before you have your name, and before you can see the environment around you, and before you see your portrait, you get thrown into your dad creator. And it tells you to build that dad.
With a little soundbite as well, right?
Yes, it says it like that. Another thing to point out before we dig into the build that dad aspect is I get 2 tool tips or game tips, but these are called dad tips.
Yes.
So I get.
Tell me about your dad tips.
I get dad tip number 61. It says, that quirky lab assistant from NCIS just reminds me of you. And I also get dad tip number 63. Please remember to call us once in a while.
I got a really nice dad tip that said, if you're thinking about them, you should call them. They'll be glad you did.
Fair enough.
Nice.
So less dad tips, more dad care tips.
I mean, I got a couple of really excellent dad joke tips.
Okay.
But I just don't remember them because as soon as I heard them, I wanted to forget them immediately.
Oh, fair enough.
And the other one was like really touching, so I went with that one instead.
Can I just interject very briefly here?
Yes, go for it.
I just wanted to call attention to the theme song on the main menu.
Yes.
The Dream Daddy, yeah.
Yes. The fact that the title of the game is in the main menu and is sung, and the way that it's sung and the way that it's stylized, the time to first lull for me was very, very short.
Yes,
because
it's very good.
When the music kicked in, I was already grinning, but when the vocals kicked in, I literally lulled.
Excellent.
Like no exaggeration.
It's sincere too, which I think is the really important thing. Is that it's delivered with complete sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Almost uniformly through this character creator that holds up.
Hey, a thought just occurred to me. Sorry, a thought just occurred to me. Aaron has a regular thing that he has to do every episode, which is to sing a 4-line Bruce Springsteen stanza. I was wondering if, planting in the back of his mind here, he could think about how the Bruce Springsteen music would sound for the opening.
Yep, working on it.
I've just planted that seed.
Working on it.
I'm sorry, Steve, continue.
Alrighty. So I spend about 5 minutes in my dad creator. So I'll just quick rundown of the things that I can do to build my dad. So the basically the left-hand side is the portrait and sort of like character overview of the dad that I'm creating. Mm-hmm. And it defaults to sort of a Popeye-looking dad for me. I don't know if that's randomized or not.
The Popeye dad's nice.
Yeah. So my Popeye dad defaults to being bald with blonde eyebrows, Tintin eyes, a straight mouth, and looks like a nose that's been punched.
Right.
It is the muscular upper dad body. It's wearing blue singlet and blue tight shorts.
Nice.
And is well haired. So to give you the overview of the categories that I can choose to build my dad, I can change the dad bod. I can change the dad head, hair, eyes, noses, mouth, brows, facial hair, glasses, piercings, and clothing. To give you some stats of what's in each of those categories, there's about 30 different skin colors I can choose from for my body shape. There are 3 different body types of muscular, dad bod, and very skinny. And those have different levels of hair that you can turn on and off.
Right.
There are 7 different heads. There are dozens of hairstyles, including but not limited to Goku.
Yep.
There are 30 or so hair colors. There are 16 eyes, but I noticed that most of these just look weird. I don't know if that struck you as odd.
No, I found the pink eyes and went right on ahead with that.
Yeah, the eyes stumped me. I went through all of them, I think, almost twice, and then settled on the Tintin eyes.
Those are the ones that are defaulted to for me.
Yeah.
But I ended up going up with the bulging bug eyes.
Yep.
I also had the tongue stuck out for the mouth. I had a beautiful Daniel Day-Lewis "There Will Be Blood" mustache.
Yes.
And the bald head with the sort of short hair around the frame of the bald patch, and all grey for the hair.
Nice.
It was, and then quite a nice looking suit. It was
lovely.
Very good. Yes.
I hope you'll enjoy my. Go ahead.
Oh no! So I was gonna counter that with my own. There's a lot of similar things in there too. I went with the mouth with that was in sort of a snarl with a toothpick hanging out of the end of it.
Nice.
I too went with the Daniel Day-Lewis mustache. I went with sort of kind of sleepy but angry eyes with pink irises, so really accentuated the I'm not 100% sure where you're coming from glance here. The furriest eyebrows you have ever witnessed, just beautifully,
just real
thick.
Real set of John Howard's, yeah,
real fucking tastic.
These pink eyes, was this like 420 pink, or
it wasn't 420 pink,
right?
And it wasn't someone farted in my pillow pink.
Okay.
It was contact lens pink.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. I really could have just said it was contact lens pink and not big gross.
Yeah, you could have stuck that. There are about 12 eye colors. There are 8 noses. There are about 12 mouths and dozens of mouth colors. There are 12 brows, again in 30 colors or so. There are 10 facial hairs with all the usual array of colors for you to choose from. There are then nose piercings, ear piercings of various numbers. There's a brow piercing and a temple piercing, those sort of things as well.
Yeah. But a dad is more than the sum of his parts.
Exactly, which is why my dad that I made, me as a dad, I've described my dad as John Lennon, Gandhi, Freddie Mercury, who is trying out for the role of Danny Zuko.
You sound like one hot dad.
It's a pretty good dad. I get stumped by it then says you have to name your dad.
Yes.
And I'm stumped. I have no idea what to name this dad. I'm hunting for the random name generator, and there isn't one.
Yes.
So I went with John Daddo.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, you should have gone with Andrew Daddo.
Yeah, I thought about it. Do you remember your dad names?
I absolutely remember my dad name. After you, Aaron. After you.
I called my good daddy Magnus Magnitude.
Okay.
And mine was also alliterated. My dad name was Harold Ham with a double M.
Okay. Yep.
I really like that.
I was thinking to myself, my assumption was, am I going to see my first name in the scrolling text? And I was correct. Yeah. And I thought Harold was a very dad-sounding dad name. And then for the surname, I thought to myself, if I was to think of a gentleman who exists on Earth who I think would be a very hot dad, then it would absolutely be John Hamm. So this is clearly one of his cousins, Harold Hamm. Yes.
He's his stunt double. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, I click Be That Dad.
Yep.
And the game continues. And sure enough, I get to see my combination Danny Zuko tryouts slide in from the left of screen with John now there under what's being said by my character. So we get a to and fro between John, or you, the dad, and your daughter who has just woken you up. And we do sort of a similar thing to what we've talked about before in Firewatch, where we're actually building some of our characters' backstory by the way that we respond to questions or by the way that we prompt conversation with the character that we're talking to. So I've pulled out a couple of key moments where I get to make choices. If there are any others that you want to discuss, just throw them in.
Yeah.
So Amanda has found some photos we're living through. We're packing up to move houses. I don't recall if it says exactly why we're moving houses, other than we are. And one of the ones that it lets me to choose is it says you need to fill in the sentence, and it says the only way your father and I, or the only way your mother and I, that you need to choose between.
Yeah.
That you get to. So I thought that was a really natural way of having that be in dialogue rather than having to say, oh, also can you tell me all these other characters' information now before we start playing the game.
It's a little bit similar to what we discussed with Pyre last week.
Yeah.
I was asking you to figure out how gender was being assumed by the characters you were speaking to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We also get to learn that your dad, the dad, you the dad. You be the dad, so you the dad. You're in a ska band called Scarmunist Manifesto, which I chuckled at.
That was really good.
I also learned that clearly me, the dad, cares a lot, but god damn it, it'd be great if you had less friends called Emma, because I'm trying my best here.
Yep.
And as we're leafing through these photos, we're getting getting a picture of the kind of dad that your character is.
Yeah.
So leafing through, we made you this costume together. I remember teaching you how to do this thing when you were going through this phase. You
had to wear sunglasses when you were tiny, so you didn't cry all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sort of you're joking along and prompting your daughter to play along with the jokes that you're like setting up for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's very cute. The writing's very playful with the whole thing as well. It's very naturalistic in the way it's presented too.
Yeah. And it gives a really good sense of the rapport that the two characters have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's going to be a plot point later. Like maybe there's drama. This is for contrast. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it's just establishing that they have a really good relationship.
Yeah. It could. I mean, it's called a dad dating simulator, so I assume that I actually would end up spending less time, like conversing with Amanda rather than with other dads.
Yeah, potentially.
I don't know. So maybe that's its way of saying, like, hey, this relationship is cool. It's fine. You can talk to other characters.
Can I just interject with a question, Steve?
Yeah.
What age did you assume Amanda was? Because I'm not sure the game explicitly tells you.
I don't remember if it does, but I was guessing like 12 to 15, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, early to mid-teens would have been my assumption as well. Yep.
Young enough to not hate everything yet, clearly.
So 6.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm being a jerk. My apologies.
I'm trying to remember now. One of the photos, she's 7, and there's one where she's older than that again.
Right.
I think there's one where they mention the 7th grade, right?
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so one of the other points where I get to like determined backstory by responding to Amanda. Is it we have this? This was the day you were born. When we have the photo of the baby and the parent holding it with the "I love you, Amanda"
over the shoulder. Yeah.
Oh, can I before we get into the really the somber stuff? One of my favorite things that I was able to do while going through these photos was getting to one where it's like, remember the sleepover? And I was like, yeah, and such pooed themselves.
Yeah, I chose
as soon as I saw that, I was like, that is all mine. Clicked it, and then Magnus Magnitude reminded Amanda that no, that was you who pooed yourself.
Great.
At the party.
No, I clicked the wasn't she the one who used to steal pets? And then Amanda responds with something else and then says, I still miss my hamster. So when we get to this photo of the baby, we have two choices here. We have this is the day you were born and this is the day we adopted you.
Yeah.
That you choose between to select your backstory. And then one of the other bits that I've pulled out as a place where I'd made a choice is in the next scene, actually, which is when we're now in the car. We get some setup here that says that we're about to follow the removalist vans to our new house.
Yeah.
And me, the dad, is trying to hype up how great this new house is going to be. And my options are, it has washer and dryer hookups, or it has a 2-car garage, or it has multiple places to sleep. I went with washer and dryer hookups.
Oh.
I picked multiple places to sleep.
Yes.
Because I thought that was a very good dad joke.
It was.
It was, but the follow-up for the washer and dryer hookups is, have you ever had dirty clothes? And the man is like, only every day of my life.
Nice.
He's like, well. And that's about as far as I get. About 2 sentences after that, I hit my 10 minutes because I have spent about 5 of them making my dad.
Right.
So I'm sure that there are bits that jumped out for you guys when you played through as well. So have I skipped over any that we want to dig into, or are there other topics we want to discuss?
I mean, I have a broad general statement I want to make about Dream Daddy that kind of contains something that we didn't talk about, but I can save that till the end if we want to talk about some other stuff first.
Sure. Tony, anything from you?
Steve, I was wondering if you could share your thoughts about the last picture in the picture box.
Oh, cool. That's what I was going to bring up. Doing that then.
It's nice.
Over to you, Aaron.
Yeah. So I think what's the most important thing about this game is that it's taking its subject matter seriously, and it's approaching it with that sincerity that we were talking about earlier with the Dream Daddy coming in over the title screen.
Yeah.
Yes, it's playful, but it's not insincere.
It's not mocking.
No.
Yeah. And it's not winking and nodding at you either.
It's not inviting you to laugh at. It's inviting you to laugh along.
Mm-hmm.
I think this moment in particular, the picture that we're talking about involves the assume. I don't know if it's ever said explicitly in the dialogue, but the assumed passing of the daddy that you play as your partner.
Yeah.
I think it's very important that the game starts with this to sort of enforce the fact that this is a game that is treating itself seriously.
Yeah.
In spite of also being playful, there is such a thing as serious play, and I think it's engaging with that very effectively here, and I think it's important that it does so.
And the part that struck me about that moment was that it allows you to see the photo first. And when it got to that point, I sort of stopped and went, oh. And I really appreciated the fact that both your character and Amanda essentially do the same thing.
Yeah. The thing that really makes it work inside of everything else is that it's such a natural progression of the scene.
Yeah.
where this is, this is what happens when you're sitting down, you're going through pictures and you're recalling memories. Oftentimes you'll stumble upon one that your brain wasn't quite ready for.
Yeah.
And you have to work to process that, and it can change the conversation. It is a distinct tonal shift when it occurs in the game. But once again, it's treated with sincerity, with realism, and that makes it honest and it makes it resonate.
The thing is, it's a tonal shift that is exactly what would happen if you were in that situation in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't feel constructed. It doesn't feel artificial. It doesn't feel forced for the sake of the plot or for the sake of trying to make a point. And it kind of made me realize that, cliches exist for a reason, but the act of moving house as a transition point is quite a powerful one. And in terms of a premise to set up what the rest of the story of this game is, I think it's quite illustrative of the fact that if you're going to have a new beginning, it requires kind of a closing or an ending to your previous situation. And I think it's interesting that this game elects to begin just before that change is made, and uses that as a framework to give you a little bit of your history without it seeming like an exposition dump. It's like this is a natural reflection that may occur at this time if you're actually going through this moment of your life. And I mean, moves can happen for many different reasons. They can happen because your lease expires and you have to, you get kicked out. They can happen because, you get a change of job or your family circumstances change, be that through death or separation or what have you. But no matter what the context is, there's always some period of reflection. And speaking from personal experience, like when you got to move a whole ton of shit, you reach the point where you start looking at it going, do I really need all of this? And then you find that box that you forgot you had, and then you go digging through that box, and you're quite literally digging up a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't fresh in your mind, and that's where you can get blindsided. So, and that can be really powerful when it happens.
Oh yeah.
And I got a little echo of that from that moment of this particular game. And what that made me realize was to what degree and in what ways I was injecting myself into this character. And I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days, because when it came to customization, there's quite, as Steve was illustrating before, there are quite a range of options here. But at no point during that process did it ever occur to me to try and make myself, even though I am quite literally a father.
Yep.
I didn't feel any urge or desire to make me in this game, because the way that the game opened, with the colourfulness and the music and the singing on the main menu and the build that dad, it gave me an instruction to build that dad, not to build myself. So I just jumped straight into that, and I went, well, let's try and create a character that I find interesting or quirky. And it was encouraging me to be quirky through the types of options that it gives you. Like, this is not a traditional character customizer in the sense that you get 9 types of brooding, mysterious eyes. Like, it gives you a gamut of different options and different emotions and different levels of seriousness or playfulness or what have you. But then when it started to get into this point where through conversation you're choosing backstory, that's where I found myself starting to go, well, what's the most likely of these options if this were me in this situation, even though I'd literally just finished building somebody who explicitly wasn't meant to be me. I then found myself making choices. I was like, well, if I were in this situation, what would it probably be for me? How would I probably feel? So it was your mother and I. It was the day you were born, because I have a son. I've been married. I've had a kid. And it just felt natural to me to go, well, in this mode, I will make this something that is familiar to me. So I found that a curious sort of dichotomy between I'd specifically made a character who wasn't meant to be me, but then I started making choices that felt natural to me. And that was quite interesting. I don't really have anything more to add to it than that, But if you have any thoughts, I'm happy to sort of riff on it.
I think it's really interesting. The framing is that it sets you up to build not your character. Like it's like a typical character RPG would be saying, create your character, customize your character, to suit your tastes. Whereas this is more like the sliding. Like it's not constructed that way, but it feels more like the sliding head, midsection, and legs that you're swapping around to try and create a quirky character, even as far as create the character that you want as a dad, rather than you are the dad. Make you. I found that really interesting.
Yeah, that's why the use of the word "that" rather than "your."
Yeah,
was quite pointed.
Do you have anything you want to riff off from that, Aaron? Otherwise, I have something that will completely ruin the mood.
No, I just wanted to say that was a really beautiful insight, Tony. Thank you for sharing it.
That's all right, Steve. I do have one.
I do point. Actually.
Yep.
Actually. So
go ahead.
One more thing. I have my Springsteen track. If you want to hear it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, hit me.
Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So I got an idea earlier when we were talking. You mentioned that you're sort of like the Popeye daddy, and I took that and I let that percolate a little. So if you will. Well, my name is Popeye Daddy. Got my spinach and my pecs. I'm really keen for some affection. Any hot dads, send me a text.
Okay, thank you.
So good.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Encore. And speaking of music, one thing that I really appreciated, especially when I was watching back my 10 minutes, is it appears that it's changing the typewriter noise for text being displayed.
Yeah.
To match the music that's currently playing in the background.
Yep.
What?
So that not necessarily in terms of the timing, but in terms of like the first text you get, it sounds like you expect a interactive fiction like visual novel to sound like, but then later, I think it was the next scene where the music is different. That typing noise is more of a bongo drum. It's like boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
That sort of nestles into the music that's playing behind it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a lovely touch.
Nice. There was just one other point that I wanted to raise briefly, not so much as a topic of huge conversation, but just something that I also appreciated. When I was in the middle of building that dad,
yes,
for myself, I already knew that I had a daughter.
Yeah,
and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, that you see Amanda before you get taken to the customizer?
Yes, I believe so.
Right. And Amanda isn't white, and the game doesn't assume that all the characters in it are white. And in fact, when you see the main menu and you see all of the characters in there, there's a pretty broad and diverse range of ethnicities on display in that main menu. And I thought that it was just something that I appreciated a lot, that it gives you a lot of different ways to mix and match and customize what that story is. But it's a very overt in going, this is your daughter and this is what she looks like. Now that seed is planted, go and do whatever works for you.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. That's all good.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of what we're saying aren't necessarily talking points because we're just identifying things that have been done well.
Yeah, and that's fine. So in terms of a 10-minute check, like it teaching me what it is and how to play it, interactive fiction is something that I've had a lot of experience with before. I think most people have at this point. Even if you haven't, the interaction method is clicking on boxes. And like clicking to confirm that you've read things and speeding them up if you click faster.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that's overtly needs to be taught to me about how to interact here. As long as you recognize that you have a mouse cursor, you're probably okay. And everything that you can click on looks like it's a button. most often things that you can click on in the more typical UIs will sort of wobble and shake when they spawn in, and they animate when the mouse
But will
goes
they
over
fall
them.
down?
I don't know.
No.
In terms of what this game is about, I built that dad, and now I am that dad. And I need to continue making sure that Amanda has an amazing life. But presumably also I'm going to date some dads, because it's in the title.
One would
hope
hope
so.
that's what you end up doing, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. May I hopefully not derail too much by just asking another question that
Sure.
has occurred to me? So we've all heard the kind of the adage or the philosophy of show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
But there are challenges inherent in being something like interactive fiction where so many of the things are being conveyed through dialogue on screen, text dialogue rather than spoken dialogue. But reflecting on that and thinking about it now, I feel like this game is showing me and not telling me, which is weird because it is literally telling me through text. Discuss.
Yeah. It also has very good. Well, it's not Simlish because some of them are words, but it seems to have a wide range of dad vocalizations from Amanda to give you the extra context of how is that being said.
Yeah,
and it's enough for you to hear that in Amanda's voice.
And I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary for those audio cues to be happening because you are spending so much time with your eyes scanning text that you don't have as much opportunity because the expressions of the characters do change to match, but you're not looking at them because you're reading text all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas I imagine that for viewers who are watching this on a Let's Play or on a stream, they're perhaps able to take in the facial expressions as well because their attention.
Yeah, because they're likely.
Yep.
And they're likely having the lines read to them.
Yes. Yep.
By the commentator. Yeah, I think the writing in this is very particular and considered. In that it's I agree, Tony, that it's showing and not telling. Because it's giving you just enough to develop an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
But then still providing you enough leeway to have a degree of internal authorship over the meaning, over the particulars of whatever it is that's being discussed.
Yeah. Okay. And Steve, just one final question from me. Up until this point of the game, do you feel the game has indicated to you in any way how the dating of dads is going to commence?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Other than that, I assume it will be through conversation dialogues. But as I have been made aware,
less mechanically in terms of the game operation, but more in terms of the setting and the theme.
I have very little clue other than
right.
We're moving to a different place.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's going to be what are all the new common locations we have to find in this new place that we live.
Yep.
So I'm imagining we need to find a new supermarket, we need to find new coffee shop, all those sort of things, and it'll be sort of like chance encounters with other people in similar situations to you.
Cool. Groovy.
But that's assumption, so I don't know.
Okay.
And then the dad dating commences.
Yes.
Nice. So you kind of did the 10-minute check earlier, Steve. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that? Because I very rudely interrupted.
No, you're all good. So we're done.
Okay.
So
we are plugs.
We can plug. If you have enjoyed what you have heard, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear about it. If you did not enjoy it, we also would appreciate some constructive criticism.
Yes.
We'll deal. You could email us. So that would be contact@thefirst2minutes.com.
Uh-huh.
You also could find us on so many services.
Yep.
You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, technically still SoundCloud, Patreon, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and in all of those places, you'll be able to find us as The First 10 Minutes.
Don't forget Libsyn.
Technically, you can find us on Libsyn. I don't know if they really have just like a search feature. It's not really the kind of vibe. But we're there. We're definitely there.
We are.
Otherwise,
you wouldn't be hearing us.
You wouldn't be able to hear it, no. First10minutes.libsyn.com.
Yep.
So we'd love to hear from you. Give us some feedback. And as always, if you've enjoyed this, we would greatly appreciate a review or a rating on iTunes or similar. And also, share it with a friend. Get somebody else addicted to this stuff. Yeah.
We also have a bunch of Let's Plays that we've started doing on our YouTube channel, so please head over to YouTube and check us out there. And if you're enjoying the content that we're putting up there, give us a subscribe and also point a friend towards that. That would be very much appreciated. Hey, Aaron. If people want to get in touch with you personally, how can they do that?
They can find me on Twitter. You can find me personally on Twitter at PoisonTastyFish, spelled how it sounds. Or if you'd like to read some essays on story and how they work in them video games, you can head to @PushingB or to pushingb.com to find all of my Pushing Buttons essays.
Oh, I get it.
See, that's Pushing B, Pushing Buttons.
And B is a button as well, I get it. Yeah.
Layers on layers on layers.
It's such an excellent title.
It's so good. I wonder who came up with it.
He doesn't talk about any Xbox games, though. It's weird.
It's very weird. It's so weird.
Very nice. Steve, if people want to get in touch with you, how might they do that?
You can find me on Twitter at _Steve Halliwell, or you can find me at stevehalliwell.com.
I guess I'll introduce myself then. If you want to get in touch with me, Tony, personally...
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, man. Let's do that again. Hey, Tony. Tony.
Yeah?
What do people want to get in touch with you?
Thanks for asking, Aaron. If you want to get in touch with me personally, you can find me on Twitter at Kalinskald. That's KALINSKALD. I also do a series of game developer interviews on a podcast called Downloadable Context, which you can find at downloadablecontext.com or at DLContext on Twitter. And I think that's it, gentlemen. Another successful broadcast. Not that we're actually broadcasting anything at the moment, but...
live to my hard drive.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
We're live to 3 separate hard drives, hopefully all of which
later
successfully
to be
recorded.
Together.
Yep. So that's it for another episode. Thank you all.
Inside Baseball. Let's do this again. All right.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you all very much for listening, and we'll catch you again on this week's other episode. See ya.
Bye.